Hey YouTube, welcome to the Shooter's Resource Channel. I'm James and I'm going to be reviewing the Glock 19. Wait, this is the Glock 44 chambered in .22 long rifle, and it's a direct clone of the Glock 19. It's a great pistol. It's about 9 ounces lighter, and it allows you to train with a lot less expense involved. And especially right now in the 9mm shortage crisis, it's really nice to have this in my arsenal. Plus, it's a great trainer for kids and new shooters, and I've been using it there quite a bit, but I took it out to the range and had some fun myself. Before we get started and go check out that footage, go ahead and take a second and hit that like and subscribe button. Hey J-Dub, what do you think about the Glock 44?
So, it's great for use, not much recoil, and it's a really good gun to get them started on.
Wait, is that a wasp? Glock 44, engage! Alright, the Glock 44. A lot of folks for a long time was looking forward to Glock releasing a .22 caliber model, mainly because Glock is such a popular pistol. People are looking for something to train with. But this gun right here I've had now for somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's say, 5 or 6 months, and I've put somewhere around about 4,000 rounds through it probably. There's a lot of different debate on the internet right now around this gun and whether or not it meets all the criteria or expectations that Glock brings, and that people expect that Glock perfection, that 110% reliability in any type of situation. We got to remember too that this is a .22 long rifle, and the ammunition quality is not the same as a centerfire gun. There are some great reliable .22 caliber guns out on the market, so it's an interesting situation. I will tell you that I have had failures with this gun. I would say that they have not been excessive as what some people have reported, but we'll look at some of that in just a moment. Some things to point out on the gun is it does have a polymer slide with steel reinforcement. The steel reinforcement happens right there around the railing, right where it would need to. The gun has just functioned well. The fitment and everything feels very similar to a standard Glock. What I really like about this gun is it is, direct clone, meaning that it fits in all of my holsters. You see I've got the TLR7 Streamlight on here that I run on my Glock 19s. It fits right on there, no problem, as well as, like I said, with the holsters, so any holsters that you got, you can run. So it really does serve as that training gun. Some people might say, well, training with .22, it's not the same as training with 9mm. There's no recoil. Yeah, but there's a lot of training to be had even just when you're air gunning or using like a blue gun or something of that nature, because shooting is not just recoil management. As a matter of fact, that's why a lot of people, stress, and a lot of the professionals stress dry fire practice. There's no recoil in dry fire practice, but essentially you can practice everything but the recoil management. Now, when you incorporate something like this .22 model into your training with the Glock 44 model but .22 caliber, now you're opening up the realm for something that can take you to that next level, because you actually do get some feedback as you're shooting. And so, this isn't a laser or anything like that. You're actually printing on targets and you can see how you do. So I really like it. It's something that I put in the hands of new shooters and I try to get them used to it. It does have that Glock trigger, which, is not the best trigger in the world, but it's a realistic trigger. So for me, it's close enough. Some people, say, oh, well, it's not exactly the same as the Glock, but yeah, it's close enough. As you start shooting more and shoot faster, you'll find that you pay less attention to the trigger than when you're trying to do like some accuracy style, shoot your best group at the end of the lane type shooting. But where this really helps and where it shines, if you're practicing dynamic style shooting or for competition or just for fun, you can really do that with this gun and get some real-time feedback in terms of hits on target. Now, I've ran majority cheap ammo through this gun, And, you know, again, in terms of reliability, I've been pretty pleased. I've owned several 22s in my life. This is not my most reliable 22, but, you know, I always expect some level of failure with 22 because I normally run the cheap box ammo that you get. You know, it's just 22. It's very dirty. I had the most failures with this gun when I shot it and didn't clean it. So I put a couple boxes, and those are 500 round box for this thing, and just kept shooting it. And then, yeah, it started gunking up on me, and I would get stovepipes and things of that nature. And really, at that point, I was thinking, man, you know, this thing's really a lemon. And I thought, well, I really hadn't cleaned it in a while, so I went and cleaned it. And I just did this recent range session with 300 rounds and no problems at all, except for one stovepipe. And so I was pretty pleased with that, one stovepipe out of 300 rounds. Now, you know, would not be pleased if this was my defensive handgun or whatever, but in terms of having just a 22 practice gun, use it as a snake gun or something like that. It's a very accurate gun, no problems in terms of accuracy. You know, the gun is going to be as accurate as you are. Now, you compare this gun to something like a Mark III or Mark IV from Ruger, it's probably going to leave a lot to be desired. And that's because, you know, this is not really what this gun is. That gun is a great 22 caliber gun. It is built around doing 22. This is a 19 clone, so there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily ideal. Like the angle of the grip for Glock is a little bit different. And one of the things I find is when I load 22 caliber rounds in this gun, that sometimes those rimmed cartridges, they have a problem where they might stack on top of each other. And what you get is, once you get past about round 7 or 8, you start getting some nose diving on the bullets. And that's because those rims are not, they're setting directly on top of each other. So you got to be careful the way you load this gun. That can introduce some failures. I did have the problem with the actual sights that came on here where the gun was shooting very high. And it was like pretty high. It was like 6 inches high at 20 yards or something like that. And so I didn't want that. I wanted to be, you know, kind of dead on at 25. And once I replaced the sights, I got that experience. That was one thing. I had seen people complain about it, and I did experience it. It did shoot high for me. So be wary of that. You might need to change out the sights. I typically do that on all my Glocks anyway. Wasn't planning on this model since it was 22, but was happy to do it. I think I had the rear sight sitting around, and I just replaced the front sight with a cheap one. So all in all, this is just a great gun. But that would be cool to see a steel slide version of this and, you know, MOS. That would be great. I do like that it's got the front serrations. It shoots really well if you like the way a Glock feels, the way the Glock handles, if you've got a lot of Glock stuff. This thing even will holster, or it will even take standard Glock mags. So that's really awesome. Obviously, they're not going to be functional in there, but you could use them for practice. And I have heard rumor that they're going to be coming out with higher capacity magazines, either Glock or some other folks. But right now, the 10 rounders are all right. I normally load them to 8 so I can avoid any of that stacking and I don't have to really pay attention to what I'm doing. But you can load them to 10. Just be cognizant that you don't stack the rims on top of each other and get any nose diving. If you're in the market for a trainer Glock, I think that this one was well worth the money for me. I'll continue to put thousands and thousands of rounds through it and get some training time in, shooting on the move, working out drills in different scenarios. And I'm going to be doing it for a reduced cost, even cheaper than what I can reload. And that really is helpful for me, especially because, you know, now that I've got my son doing competitive shooting with me, this allows us to keep our combined round count a lot less costly if we're doing some of that training with 22. All right, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.